We want to talk a little bit and just kind of bring everything together. Some of you might be a little bit lost, and I'm going to try to do a summary of what we've done over the past 2 days. Anybody here for the first time? First time you're hearing me? A lot of you. Okay. So we're talking about, we're really in this time not really preaching. You know, I've been told I'm a decent preacher, but that's not my assignment here with you guys. My assignment here is to stir you up a little bit so that you are repositioned, you think a little bit more, and I get you positioned for a healthier financial place in your life. One of the things I want us to just look at here a little bit is, what do you plan to do in this new world? People are looking for the pandemic to end and for us to be reinstated in the place that we were prior to the pandemic. All the leaders, when you sit with people who are making decisions, it's not going to go back the way that it was. There was a shaking that happened, is happening. Things are happening in Russia, things are happening all over the world. And if you look at what's happening in the church, we look like if we're in the days of Noah. We're eating and drinking and getting married and doing stuff like nothing is happening. But this is a time where you either come out of this very poor and depleted, or rich and existing in abundance. This is the time for you to pay attention to what's happening. One of the things that, and I say this with all the respect that I have as a born-again Christian, it seems like the blood is not working on the doorpost. We should be able to come into agreement and this plague not touch us. Touch us, meaning the body of Christ. But that's not happening. And we have to be honest with that we don't know what is happening. People are pontificating that it is the Antichrist and the whatever and the whatever. The truth is, we don't know. But what we do know is that God is in control. And what I've found, and what I was saying this morning, is that you need to have a purpose for living so that you can negotiate extended time here on earth. You have to have purpose. You cannot just be here, going to your job, clocking in, coming home, watching Lifetime movie, and that's the cycle. What are you doing for the world? What is your purpose? And it may not be something in a grand scheme, but speaking to your neighbor, doing something so that you can negotiate. Like Hezekiah, we're standing before God, and we have to make a case for living longer. And I know that sounds really crazy, but why are you here? Why didn't the pandemic take you? And what will be your contribution in this quote-unquote new world? It cannot be. You cannot be thinking the same way. The entire world was locked down for about 2 years. And they are saying that in China is locked down now because there's some crazy variant that's coming. You have to now either be on the defense or the offense. You either have to react or be prepared for whatever is coming. And to do that, you need to think differently. This morning I was talking about being born again. Being born again is not just a spiritual thing. Nothing happens to our anatomy, the biology of the human being when they get saved. What happens is it has to be a transformation of your mind, the way you think. One of the things that people miss with Jacob, and Jacob is one of my favorite characters in the Bible. He was strategic. He was tricky. And we have to have some of those strategies now to be able to survive in this time. The sheep looked at the water, and he had them coming out in different. So it was different from his was it his uncle, whoever, Rachel's his father-in-law. Yes. So what strategy do you have for your life? What's your 2-year plan? If, God forbid, the internet totally goes, what's your plan? If we can't connect with each other that way, what's your plan? And it should not be that the church is reacting to that. There should be masterminds and times where we come together and strategically plan for what is going to happen next. And this is not to scare you. This is just saying that your purpose on earth has to come to fruition. You have to find what it is you need to be doing for the earth and the kingdom of God. What is the plan for after or during this pandemic? Everybody, close your eyes for a minute. I want to do a test. Just close your eyes. Don't cheat. How many of you read more than 4 books during the pandemic? Put your hand up. Don't lie, because God's watching. Okay, put your hands down. How many of you took a course of any sort, some kind of certification during the pandemic? Okay, you can open your eyes. You know if you put your hands up or not, right? 2 years, 48 months. But we're Christians. And what does Christianity mean? For us to come here, talk in tongues, fall out, talk about who has a short dress, who has a this, that, and the third. What is it? What do you belong to? And why is this intelligent God, if wisdom is a principal thing, why aren't you attracted to the things that will make you wiser? Are you feeling a little bit uncomfortable a little bit? Yeah. I don't mean to do it, but I want you to be better. I want us to be better. We are followers. We quote all kinds of scriptures. It's time for you guys to be writing your own songs and coming up with your own instrument. The steel pan is however long old. It's time for a new instrument. It's time for new chords, right? To study your craft. You cannot be playing, let me behave. I'm not, right? Okay. But you know what I'm saying? Wherever you were 2 years ago, you need to be better. And that is the testimony of being a Christian. A Christian, we say it all the time, we represent Christ, and that's not true. Christ is intelligent. And I said this morning, you're in an organization, you're with a pastor who is not a dummy. How could you be around and have the DNA of God and be influenced by this mighty woman, man and woman of God, and not get it? If I'm making you uncomfortable, it's on purpose. I told you this morning that the brain is lazy. It does not want to change. But we cannot move forward until we change. You need to get into your job on tomorrow and look around and say, I am going to get a promotion before the end of 2022. If there is something, a certification or something that you need to get, I am going to get a promotion. God does not come into your life life just to make you move like this when the Spirit moves, or fall out and then take the cloth, and all of that is okay. But it does not affect Monday through Friday. It's only a feeling on Sunday. And I want to stir you up. I'm not preaching. I'm just trying to get you to understand who you are. What is your plan for, what's your readiness for this new life? What are you doing? The next thing I wanted to ask, before I ask that question, how many of you are from the Shaguanas Church? Okay. The pastor talks really, really well about you guys. So I wanted to see you. All right. So we want to know. How we're ready. So somehow, we're reading. Let me just read Mark chapter 11, verse 24. I want to show you that God waits for us to tell him what we believe he should know. God waits for us to tell him. We're saying, and even sometime in our prayer, we're expecting God to do what he's expecting us to do. God works along with us, but we want him to work for us. He's here to work with us. Have you ever asked someone for help, or someone ask you to help them, and then when you go, they just stand up and do nothing? That's exactly how we are. We cannot ask God for help if we are not participating. So Mark 11:24, therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire. Who desire? When I pray, believe that I receive, and I shall have them. Now, I want you to see, whatsoever things you desire. Desire is the word that I want you to look at. And I'm sorry for those of you who was not here earlier to understand what we're talking about in terms of power of thought. I'll go over it a little bit. But your desire. Some of us have no desire. And if we do have desire, it vacillates because we're thinking, you have a plan B. Now, for me, I don't have a plan B. If I'm believing God for something, I do not have a plan B. And the plan B will be something. So if I'm believing God for a promotion, the plan B is, well, it might not be the will of God for me. Now, saying that, I know it sounds really good, but God says that I need to tell him what my desire is. It cannot be that, it's not like a parent where you would tell the parent what you want, and they say, no, I can't give that to you. I'm trying to show you that the power is in your hands. Your steps are ordered by God. Once you give your life to Christ, you need to understand that you need to begin walking and knowing that as you're walking, he is guiding you in the right path for his name's sake. He's guiding you in the right path for his name's sake. So it means that, and I'm going to mess with you a little bit, I'm always in the will of God. Once the connection is there and it is solid, there's nothing there, I'm in the will of God. So here's what sometimes people do. Not y'all, but just some people. Maybe the people in New York. God says to you, I want you to join the music group. You know what people do? What they do? Tell me. Let's see. What do you do? If you feel God called you to something, what do you do next? You what? Come on, say it. Somebody just said it. What do? You pray. You pray about it, right? Because, God told you to do something and you pray about it. I want you to say it 3 times and you'll see how it doesn't make sense. God told you to go do something and then you go pray about it. God told me to, and people brag about it. God called me like 10 years and I was running. Trust me, God doesn't have the patience to wait that long. The job that you had to do, he's given it to someone else. Why are you praying about something that God has given you? Who are you praying to and what are you asking? You see how we have this religious way of thinking and doing things that makes no sense. I feel called, to do this, but I'm going to pray and fast. You just want to lose weight. That's all that is about. That's a sneak diet. But do you see how it doesn't make sense? So some of our prayer meeting should be where we are there and we're empowered with strategies to do what God wants us to do, as opposed to asking him to say it 4, 5, 10, 20 times the same thing. What are you waiting for? God told you. I'm going to, and then Pastor says, I want you to do the media thing, and then you tell Pastor, I'm going to pray about it. You know what you just said? You're not hearing from God. So let me go to God for myself. You kind of see that? Yeah? But those of us who have any measure of success, God just needs to whisper. I'll buy a ticket in a heartbeat. Because one of the things, I will talk about containers in a little bit, God, they're quite, at least twice in the Bible, when God said, if you don't have it, you don't have what you need to complete the task that I'm giving to you, borrow. When the children of Israel, when they were going, he said, borrow. When Elijah is talking to the woman, he said, I know you don't have it. Go borrow. What stops us from borrowing? It starts with P. And that's the wisdom of God, because if you negotiate well, when you borrow, you're going to give back. And if you're a good person, you're going to give them a little interest, whatever it is, right? So we have to understand that in this time, when God speaks, because in this time, God is going to give you ideas, take you out of your comfort zone, things that you have not done before, he is going to tell you. And Sister Nelson, I was speaking with her this week, and she says, Cheryl, the Spirit of God speaks to the spirit of man. And when the spirit of man stops listening, the Spirit of God leaves and talks to another man. Have you ever seen someone do something that God told you to do 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago? You look at them and say, I had that idea. God did tell me, don't say nothing, because that just means that you're disobedient. Okay. Remember to put your questions, give the ushers your questions, any questions. This is just a workshop, we're not preaching. Okay, so I wanted to read for you. The second one I want to read, keep on asking. This is Matthew chapter 7 in the NIV. Keep on asking, and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking, and you will find. Keep on knocking, and the door will be open to you. Who's doing the asking? Who's doing the knocking? Who's doing the seeking? Okay, good. Okay, Mark chapter 11, verse 23. Truly I say to you, whoever say to the mountain, be taken up and cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says is going to happen, it will be granted to him. Therefore I say to you, all things for which you pray and ask, believe that you have received, with an ed, believe that you have received them, and they will be granted to you. Now the mountain, we talked about that today. That's the material world. You were created to rule the material world. We had a huge storm. Sandy came to New York, where we live. And I tested it. I stood up, and I know it sounds crazy, and I said, lights can go on the left and on the right, but not here. No harm will come to my home. That was one of the biggest testimonies to my children, because they were just like, oh my gosh, Mom, the lights are going there, lights are going. You know what they do now? Anytime anything is happening, they say, Mom, you pray. Remember this morning I was talking about the evangelism is about what people see, not what they hear. You can preach from now until the cows come home. But we can speak. When I was living here, and I was very, very young, and we had this, I was singing someplace, and we had this satin jacket, and they said not to iron it, but me, I saw a little wrinkle, and I went to iron. That iron, when I looked at the thing, the mark of the iron was right there on the side of it. I closed my eyes, and I so believe that I can make it come back together. I'm telling you, I have that kind of faith. Now, it didn't come back together like that. I got a call from the seamstress, and she said, did it fit well? I said, I burnt it. So she said, bring it. So I did get my miracle, not just the way that I wanted it. We have to believe. We cannot, when we say that we're believers, it has to be that we believe that there's not a plan B. If it doesn't come to pass, this is how I speak to God. If it doesn't come to pass, people are going to say, my God is not real. I can't lose this. I can't be the poorest person here. And one of the things that we have to stop doing is praying for the people who don't have. This is the time that we need to borrow money to give an offering. All right. I have permission from the pastor and his wife to be here and say what I'm saying. So I ask you today, what do you want? What is your blessing capacity? What is your blessing capacity? How much blessing can you take? How dissatisfied are you with your life? We talked, I think it was last night, when I was talking about what happens if you get the money now. My question to you, how many of you have containers that this money can go in? If you have a container for the wealth that is coming, lift your hand. Good. What's your container? Bank investment? Okay. Anybody else? What's your container? Shout it out. Matches? Sale agreements. Okay. All right. That's it. We have to begin to have containers. And containers would be the businesses. You have to think that Elijah just came, and the oil represents wealth or a change in financial status. Because this woman, her husband died and left her in debt. I think we were talking about that on Friday night, that you need some insurance. Christian people don't believe in life insurance. And it doesn't mean that you're going to die. It just means that if you do die, which all of us will die, that the people that you leave would be in a better financial place. But where are your containers? And I want us to talk a little bit. I want to get you guys creating containers. Containers, for me, containers is my private practice, my coaching business. I have a cleaning business. I have a construction business. I don't do construction, but I just have the certification, and I have subcontractors. Don't play with me. God says, when the containers run out, the oil is going to stop. The wealth is going to stop flowing. So you know what you do? You continue to create containers. And when you don't have containers of your own, you can partner with someone to create those containers. I know we're not running and jumping all over the church, but I want to make you I want you to be tired of not having money in your pocket. If you do not have $1,000 in your pocket right now that you can just give in the offering, the pastor told me to take the offering just now. Free to give, just give. You should be a little bit like, I want to do that. Only selfish people like being poor, because if you're poor, you can't give, right? And there are people who love to give. But so when you begin, and the people who are having this money, you have to remember that people are going, once you start getting money, people are going to come to borrow. Don't be mad, because what does Deuteronomy say? You're the lender. Is $1,000 TT dollars a lot of money? I think it's a lot. No, it's not. Okay. Okay, some of y'all say, how many of you can spend $1,000 in 5 minutes? Well, I guess it's not 5 minutes. Okay, I guess we have to raise that up a little bit. But do you understand? And when you're in that place, your prayer, you can only pray for yourself. God, the light bill is coming. God, the phone bill is coming. You don't have time to pray for evangelism. But what I'm saying to you, and what I've been saying over the past few days, is that this money is an energy. You have to change the way you think about it. And you have to begin to have a container that even if, let's say, you sell doubles, you start sewing, you start tutoring, you start, find the thing that you failed. Your biggest failure can be your biggest money maker. Because what you do is make people not fail the way that you fail. Look on your job. What is the same thing that you've been doing? If they have if you're in a supermarket and all the, I don't know what, all the rice is on this side and all the whatever, change that around. Start thinking, when you come into the store, what do people buy most? And that's what you want to put up front. You have to begin to challenge your mind to work. Don't do the same thing the same way all the time. Go, borrow some corn. I saw someone on the Lady Young. I feel so proud when I know the names. I don't remember the names of the places. And they were selling, a husband and wife were selling juice. Now, people would look at that and say, oh my gosh, not me, I'm not all. But then you're going to be poor. Because it's a mindset. Next to poor is pride. Next to poor is pride, because there's some things that you cannot, you say you would not do. When I got married, my husband was working and he was doing really well, and then he lost his job. I came home one day and I saw him fixing the lawnmower. And we joke about this all the time. Me, with my bougie self, I'm saying my husband is going around and cutting grass. He was going, and then there are times I'm coming to bring him a Gatorade, and then I might be moving. He may be cutting something, and he's like, babe, hold this, and I'm there helping him cut. But in his mind, he did, until I get the job that I want, I'm going to do what I need to do to be able to make money for my family. So, but some people would prefer not to do anything at all and come to the church and say the church doesn't help nobody. But what is it you can do? My husband is a movie director, and when I go on set, when I go in my husband's world, they just know me as TL's wife. I have no name. He's the star. They say, can we get some water? Can you tell her to get water? And I'm going there with the water. But we cannot let pride, because I know the check that's coming, so I'll carry the water because that's part of the job. At the end of the day, it's like changing for him, right? And if it's the wife, yeah. But you guys see what I'm saying? What do you have in your home? What do you have in your life? And do not depend on your 9 to 5. Everybody has to have a little side something. That's what this pandemic taught us. You have to have a little side something. How many of you have more than one job? Put your hand up. Okay, good. Somebody put their hands up real. But is this making sense, what I'm saying to you? Are you getting it? What else can we do? Because pastor would usually get people and we'll preach. I go different places and I'm preaching. I want to teach you how to change your mind about money. And it's not that no one can be too old. I shared with you about neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity is the ability of the mind to change. It's malleable, it's changeable. No matter where you are, when Bishop is talking about me singing, that was my entire life. That's all that I did. And now I have not, see my nails, I haven't played any keyboards, I haven't played, and I used to play the guitar and play the wind instrument. My first degree is in theology, the second one is music. I had my own music school, traveled a lot doing music. But 7 years ago, or it may be more, I began to look at stuff, and I was doing the same thing and getting the same results. And I'm telling you, I emptied myself of everything I knew that was religious. Everything. And I asked God to pour into me. And I began to look at stuff. Things like something, I know you may have heard this, the law of attraction. I went to Holy Name Convent, and I remember doing a class, and when I was doing the class, they were doing meditation, and I would not do any meditation because I thought it made me susceptible to demons. That's what the church said to me. But the other thing that the church said to me is the demon, the music, the secular and the sacred music. Can you play A flat for me? The secular way. The secular way. Now, can you play the Christian way? can you beat the drums? Can you beat the drums in the secular, just a secular run? Come on. A secular run, just secular, just real secular. Like calypso, something secular. Hold on, that can't be secular because I heard you playing that for a song here. But you see, when you begin to use your mind with the things that people are saying to you, it does not make sense. There's no secular music. It is based on association. The music gets its connotation from the association. And I know some of y'all will be like, no. And that's why, and oh, God help me, this is my last night, so let me say it and I could run. That's why people run away from carnival. We run away from carnival instead of being in a place where we can influence. The church runs away as opposed to confronting and influencing. Many of us, when we grew up, we could have been doctors, lawyers, psychologists, and all of that. But going into that tertiary education was something that was like, no, you're going to lose your salvation. I had a full-fledged scholarship to be a psychologist. And when I started doing this, they told me you cannot study Freud and some of those Piaget and some of those people and study the Bible. So it took me a while to be able to get to this place to understand all wisdom is God's wisdom. The people who made the chairs, they are not backslidden. I grew up hearing going to the movies is sitting in the seat of the scornful. It does not make sense. Sitting in the maxi taxi is the same thing. Isn't that so? The same people who sit in the movies, sit in the bus, sit in the maxi taxi, sit in the KFC. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm telling you, use your mind. Some of the things are just religious and it has nothing to do with Christianity. We grew up, you could not wear jewelry, but you could walk on streets of gold. It's good for under my feet, but I can't take a little piece and put it in my ear. If that is your belief, I respect it and honor it. Right? If I go into a church and they're wearing a hat, I will wear a cute hat. If they want me to have my dress all the way down, I'll wear a cute long dress. I will submit to that. But then if you see me another time, you may see me with a little bit of earring. Can we think about the things? I know, I see your faces. I know I'm messing with you and I'm just about done. If you don't have questions, but I'm asking you to not let this be a cult. Because the people who died with Jim Jones and some people it was happening there in Jamaica again just recently, we have to be able to think. Thinking does not negate or minimize our Christianity. Like I said to you this morning, the word says, let your light so shine before men. When I got permission, because I was just, when I start talking about all the stuff, I have a degree in music, I have one in gerontology, I have in jazz, I have, this is my third doctoral degree. People say, calm it down. It sounds like you're bragging. And I say, the word says I would overcome by the word of my testimony. I did not do that. This is truly who I am. So when you ask me, And then I'm like my daddy. God says, praise me. Isn't that what he says? I don't have no other God before me. So husbands or wives, when your spouse, a Christian spouse, is jealous, they're being like their dad. The last thing I want to share with you, and I'm just sharing, Pastor said I couldn't do all of it. Maybe we have to have a week just to sit and talk, not preaching, just talking. Be very careful what comes after I am. I am. When you say I am, you really, as a child of God, you get into your creative place. It's the strength of the Christian. If you do any work on what I was telling you about the punctuation, so it says, if anybody asks you who I am, he says, I am that. I am. I am that. I am. What is that? That can be anything because he's everywhere. But what we do with we say everything. I am dying. I am old. I am sick. Whenever you go into your I am, that is the place. It's like putting your ATM card in the bank. That's what I am is. I am called the host of angels. They may be sleeping and they hear I am from a child of God. And they come into position, and whatever comes after I am is going to happen in your life. Does that scare you? I am an old woman. I don't know. I am. We've said a lot of things. Here's what happens though. You can interrupt. When you sow bad seeds, you can go back and uproot them. I think I heard Bishop say this morning, talked about system. God is the God of systems, and I think I was sharing that as well. He does not come down and punish you here in the moment. There's a system. The commandments is a system. Thou shalt not. All the thou shalt not. When you break the system, you have to stand a consequence. You break the system. So God is not coming to punish you. You broke a system. What happens and what Calvary does is Calvary can interrupt the consequence. It interrupts the magnitude of the consequence. Do you get me? So if you sin, and this sin word now, everything, some of the sin is not even in the Bible. Some people just make sins up as they go along. Just everything is a sin. Everything is a sin. Even God is saying, I didn't know that. All kinds of sin. But if you break one of them, be conscious of it and ask God to interrupt the consequences. So you have to be careful when you say, I am. Because you come in your co-created place, the deity of God that is inside of you. When you say your I am, you're standing as a priest. What is supposed to come after that is a command to the material world to bend at your beckoning, to bend at your words. If you use that frivolously, that is like a reckless police officer. Be careful what comes after I am. I am healed. Good. I'm suffering with this thing for years. My mother died of it and my sister died of it. What you're doing right now, like I said to you earlier, and I know some of you were not here, predisposition needs your permission to be activated in your body. It doesn't matter. My entire family and my mom passed away of asthma. I declare that the asthma would not be in my body. So although when I go to the doctor, this is what I do. I'm not telling you to do that. When they say anybody died from this, this, and this, I'm like, no, 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 because I'm canceling everything that was coming through the generations, because my relationship and my born again experience now says everything that came through that bloodline stop when the blood of Jesus is in my life. But if I accept everybody in my family died of, nobody in my family is married, that is me accepting it. The other thing I'm not accepting is the whole craziness about menopause. I'm not putting men on pause. I am not going to be sweating profusely. I am not going. I heard two of my friends talking about it. The thing sounds like a disease that you need to run from. You know, they're talking about vertigo and all of that. I'm going to be cute with 4-inch heels at 90-something years old. I decree and declare it in Jesus' name. So, while I take my seat, this weekend I wanted to show you, you are what you think. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Everything that's going on in your life, you created it through your thinking. If you want to stop thinking, change your thinking. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Let's appreciate Dr. Cheryll. Oh my goodness. Amen.